Come all young sailormen, listen to me. I'll sing you a song of the fish in the sea. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes.
Next up, we got Carrie Jones, who started fishing out of Petersburg a long time ago, and right out of high school practically, and been fishing, where'd you say, up in King Cove, right?
King Cove.
Yeah, ever since. He's been just a little while at doing this. And fishing with a lifelong buddy, and Pete Schomburg. Yeah, on the Equinox. And so here we are. The man with the most innovative instrument award. All right, Carrie Jones.
Good evening. Oh, man. Shouldn't be nervous, but you know how it is. We are so glad to be back. Yes, we are. So glad to be here, aren't we all? Hey, you in the back. Hey, you guys. Look up here. See these people waving their arms? If there's a chair next to you, come on up. I was trying to do all that while he was talking, but I guess I get to be here. I should ask you for a hand on this.
Let me give you a hand. Give him a hand, right? Yeah.
For half a hand.
Yeah. I retreated too soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
You gonna write down on that?
I don't know where all to start, but yeah, I started a long time ago with my friend Pete that I've known since I was 11. Family, friends, used to be there a lot. Did all this stuff, high school and after, and then went fishing, and then I ended up fishing with Pete. So cool. Give me that white PVC, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Small part.
You got it.
Okay. So the captain's daughter fished on board with us for 10 years until she got smart and got off with another job. And she got pretty good. It wasn't that way at the beginning, but after a decade, she got pretty all right. So I did this as for her going away dinner we had on the deck, right at the end of the season after she had quit. Not sure where I want everything yet. And yeah, I embellished it a little bit, but that's okay. Ode to Cat. The ring fell straight from the power block, cracked her right in the head. Anyone of less stature would have most likely been dead. Didn't seem to faze her, though there was a tear. That gal stood strong on deck and never let go of the gear. And when the net is torn asunder, she sees which way is right. And her needle really flies through the meshes so we won't be up all night. Not afraid to climb the rigging, tools gripped in her teeth. Like a pirate with his eye on your throat, she'll take care of it nice and neat. Once we learned she kickboxed, we never gave her a hard time. And we knew if she left the boat, alone, we knew she'd be just fine. Some drunk horn dog steps over the line, he'd be wise to just take flight. Because if he lays a hand on her, she'll take out his lights. When it comes time for dinner, we knew we were in for a treat. Thanks to her training in culinary school, it was more than just potatoes and meat. No, she doesn't need a job on your boat. You can't hire her away. She's home here on our boat. On our boat, she's gonna stay. Okay, let's go find a whale. So, I don't know how many of you know or don't know that purse seining is a long net stretched out, the power block, or the power skiff taking one end and the boat taking the other till there's this big arc and fish and the net hanging down. The fish come along and hit it, and they come over here and they start swimming around in a circle. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. And then when it's time to close up, the cap says close up, and the skiff comes away from the beach, and now we've got this cylinder hanging in the water. Usually we'd purse it up, and then the power block hauls the net and dumps it on deck. See if I can do this. It's called I Never Heard the Whale's Song. I never heard the whale's song as we set out the gear, just the rattling sound of diesel from the skiff's John Deere. Didn't see the whale in the time before we set, but there he took a breath and was now headed for our net. Didn't feel it hit the net. Didn't see the corks go down, so I was hoping that whale had gone around. Been long enough. Close up, Cap said. It must have passed us by. And as soon as we did, that whale rose up and gave us the old stink eye. He rose up real slow. Till his eye was above the drink. He glared at us for a long while. Plainly, we were the ones that stink. We opened up a space between both ends. I was towing the boat away to make that whale my friend. The crew reefed on the net. Power block spun like mad. Captain wanted no regrets, 'cause mending would be bad. There was a fear that he may charge and spoil everybody's day. But that cool old guy stood by while we hauled to get out of his way. A young punk whale might have powered through. Most likely, a sure bet. But this old guy, he was cool. We didn't have to fret. It's good to work with experience. This whale was really old school. And everybody knows the best way is to play by the golden rule. Never saw that whale again after him giving us the eye. kind of hoped he'd flip his tail so I could wave goodbye. Two thoughts crossed my mind. I'm glad it didn't go wrong. And I wondered, what was he saying? I never heard the whale's song. Thank you. Well, everybody that's been on, working with any crew, you kind of know how this is. The ups and the downs and the ups. Sometimes we fall down, we smash into things and hang on, barely. Sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes it's cold and it seems you can't get enough clothes on. Sometimes the blowing rain and ice really hurt. Sometimes it's a challenge to make the body work right. Getting up in the morning, hands like clubs, numb, unfeeling. Sometimes the Charlie horse in your leg gets you up and you pace the galley, so ready for it to stop. Sometimes it's trying your patience to work on deck with those you have to work with. Sometimes you're pressed to keep your cool because the greenhorn doesn't think they have to do their job. Sometimes they just don't get it. Sometimes you work well together, even when you don't like each other, because, that's what you do as a deckhand. Sometimes it works really well, and you feel close to the person that you work with on deck. You feel closest to the person you work with. Sometimes it works really well, and you feel close to the person you work with on deck, the closest you've felt with someone in life, at least for a while. Sometimes the big plans for a great season end up a broker. Sometimes you don't know why you're there. Sometimes it's the biggest run in history. Then you remember. Sometimes it's the greatest place to be. Let's try this loose. Well, I worked with Pete on his boat with cousins, it would have been like my cousin, and nephews and nieces. His one daughter was on 10 years, the other one's been on a few. Nate was on the nephew was on for 17 years. Diane worked in Antarctica on a research vessel in the winter. His nephew Nate was going to have a baby, and he was going to go do that next season, be a dad. And this is more family than crew. It's not just fishing that brought me there, or the checks that were more than fair. They were my forever fellow crew. We knew each other's thoughts, hardly had the talk. People in my life, that's the glue. Cat mended with quick hands. Diane's biscuits were so grand, and I'll sure miss her laughter too. The gear was always great, thanks to the deck boss being Nate, and his singing really cleared out the blues. They were my brothers, they were my sisters, more family than crew. They've moved on now, that era is gone now, I'm left alone on the deck with the blues. We had lots of giant hauls, fish were wall to wall, had our share of small ones too. You did your job so well, even when the seas were hell. I always knew I could count on you. They were my brothers, they were my sisters, more family than crew. They've moved on now, that era is gone now, I'm left alone on the deck with the blues. Antarctica calls Diane there, though we are still finding her hair. Cat's cooking on dry land for a different crew. Josh was a deck ninja with no fuss, but a move he had to bust. He's now a captain with his own crew. Where'd you go, Nate? Nate, hold your newborn son in your arms, away from all this harm. That's the place that you should be, to be moved by his love that comes from above, not from the fury of the sea. They were my brothers, they were my sisters, more family than crew. They've moved on now, that era is gone now, I'm left alone on the deck with the blues. There'll be other crewmen there, and they'll haul the gear pretty fair, but they can't be as good as all of you. What we had was rare. It was special. What we had was rare. You were deck mates extraordinaire. It won't be the same without you. They were my brothers, they were my sisters, more family than crew. They've moved on now, that era is gone now, I'm left alone on the deck with the blues. They've moved on now, that era is gone now, I'm left alone on the deck with the blues. Thank you. It's a joy to have you here with me.
Bay scalloping was a livelihood for most of us here. Mackerel clouds overhead are moving on. We call